This is Aikido for Emotions, Module 2, Lesson 2, Emotional Control. Now, what I've learned over years and years of working with people is that most people believe that they're at the mercy of their emotions, that emotions just happen and you have to live with them as best you can. And some people live with them by pushing them away. This process, the emotional control process, is one that shows you that you really do have control of an emotion rather than allowing that emotion to control you. And by extension, should you run this process over and over, you will realize that you have control of all of your emotions. You are in control. And that's big. Now, in order to do this process fully and get the most out of it, you must have a decent awareness of the sensations in your body. Now, if you haven't developed that, and you'll find out really quickly as you start to do this if you don't, put some more work in on the touch exercise. That's Module 2, Lesson 1. Practice it, make it happen. Now, this exercise isn't difficult, but it will seem extremely unfamiliar because this is, from the perspective of most people, this is a radically different and perhaps even strange approach. The reason that Module 3 exists, and Module 3 consists of a whole lot of demo recordings, is because this is going to seem like strange territory. Go through this, watch it carefully, give a shot, work at doing it, and then go watch some of the demos. The demos won't really mean much until you've actually tried it. Once you've tried it, you'll get, oh, that's an interesting way to think of it. Oh, is that what this is about? And slowly you get more familiar with what's going on here and be able to do it more efficiently. It's kind of like going to a brand new office building and not knowing where anything is. And step by step, you start to learn, oh, this is this, this is this, this is how I go from here to there, and so on. Gradually, you get more familiar and be more comfortable with it. Be patient. This is an incredibly powerful exercise, but it will be unfamiliar. You can do it completely on your own, but the reality is it's easier to get started if you've got a practice partner to do this with. Share back and forth. That's the way I teach this in workshops and online workshops. Let's step ahead to what actually happens as you do this exercise. I'm going to describe the steps, and the steps are available to you on the instruction download to see what it is you need to do. And there's a second download of a worksheet so you can keep track of what's happening with the particular emotion that you've chosen. So the first step is to identify a situation where an emotion slows you down or blocks you. This might be something that you try to do and you just block. It's like overwhelmed, but I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this. It might be fear or anxiety or nervousness or any of a million possibilities, but anything that slows you down or gets in your way or outright stops you is a suitable candidate for this. Now, the second step is to step into that emotion and feel the sensations. Now, if you have trouble accessing the sensations in your body, and you don't really know what stepping into the emotion means, and feeling the sensations is something that's kind of distant for you, go back and work on the touch exercise some more, because that will help you learn to be present with your own body, to be mindful of your inner sensations. Once you're feeling the sensations, characterize them. And I'll be talking about that more a little later. Each sensation will have certain characteristics. It may be location and color and size and a swirling or a movement. It could be a whole lot of different combinations of things, but there will be particular qualities, parameters, whatever words you like to use, that essentially describe the sensation. And the next step is the one that you'll probably initially be caught off guard and wonder, oh, what do I do with that? That's what the demos are for. Vary the parameters. For example, if you're looking at location, change the location of the sensation, move it around a little. If you're looking at size, make it bigger, make it smaller. If you're looking at shape, change it from a rounded thing to something with sharper edges, all sorts of things that you can do. And with each change, you're going to ask yourself, how does this change, for example, making the sensation bigger or smaller, how does it change? How does the change in the sensation impact your experience of the emotion? In other words, when I make this sensation smaller, does it make the emotion less strong, weaker, diminished? Because for this application of the Anderson model, what we're looking for is to diminish the emotion and the sensation until it's zero or effectively zero. We want to keep going till you've reduced the emotion to where it's not there. Then, once you've identified one or two, or at most three shifts that are impactful and reduce the sensation to zero, you're going to make note of them and you're going to practice with them in a loop where you bring up that emotion all over again, apply those changes as rapidly as your unconscious mind can do it, and bring that emotion to zero. Then go to a neutral state and do it again. Typically 5 times is enough. When you can bring that emotion from feeling it intensely to it's gone, now is when you know that you have control. So those are the steps. Identify the situation, step into the emotion, characterize the sensations, vary the parameters, the qualities, and notice what happens, picking out the ones that make it less, the ones that diminish it. Keep playing at it until you've figured out a way, often it's creative, to reduce the emotion to nil. Find the changes, the minimum number of changes you need to make that happen, and practice stepping into the emotion and making those changes. When you'll find that once you get used to it, you can do this in a fraction of a second. The instant you feel that emotion, you can automatically go and the emotion is dissipated. That is how you know you have control. Now, let's get into some of the details. The main properties, and there are actually more than this, these are just the ones that I pick as the biggies. location. Every sensation has a location. Sometimes you may discover that, oh, wait a minute, I feel that sensation all over my entire body. Where you want to look for is, where is it the strongest? Or what area? Might be your upper chest, might be your belly, can be all over. Now, the rest of them may or may not be there. So when I ask questions about these, whether it's of myself or of someone else, I will ask, where is that sensation most intense in your body? If that sensation had a size, how big would it be? And I get people to describe it, a grain of rice, a marble, an orange or a baseball, a soccer ball, a beach ball. Now, some of these sensations can actually extend beyond the borders of our bodies. That's how people experience them. Whatever you experience is valid for you. What if this sensation had a shape? What shape would it be? Does weight make any sense in the context of this sensation? Some sensations feel like they're weighing us down. Some sensations feel like they're lifting us up. Some sensations, weight doesn't mean anything, doesn't make sense. If the sensation had a color, what color would it be? As a rule of thumb, and this is not all the time, but only as a rule of thumb, sensations that get in our way, sensations that we don't like, tend to be dark in color, commonly black or a muddy brown, something like that. Not always, but that's fairly common. Temperature. Sometimes sensations are warm. Sometimes they're really hot. Sometimes they're chilly or cold. It varies. Ask if temperature makes sense in the context of this sensation. Motion. Sometimes sensations don't hold still. They move around in your body. More often, if motion is involved, it feels like there is motion inside the sensation. Sometimes it may feel like energy or something moving upwards through your body. Sometimes it may be moving downwards. Sometimes it may be swirling, looping around in a circle, all kinds of things like that. Now, each and every one of these has aspects that you can change. Let's go through and look quickly at what some of those things might be. Location. Let's suppose you feel a sensation in the center of your chest, about the level of your heart. One of the things that you can do with location is change it. Move the location. Move it up, move it down, move it to the side, move it front to back within your body. Notice if that has any impact on your experience of the emotion. Size. The easiest one with size is just make it bigger or smaller without changing the shape. The shape. People experience sensations in all kinds of shape. Sometimes it might be a weird tubular sensation that goes through your center line, from your throat all the way down to your belly button. It might be I've had people have things that were rectangular and kind of like a piece of paper, no thickness. I've had all kinds of curious shapes. Play with the shape. If something seems odd or inconsistent to your intuition, make that kind of a change. For example, if a shape has sharp edges, I personally don't like the idea of sharp things being inside my body. So my first instinct would be to make those a lot more rounded. Or if a shape is very round, find out what happens if you make it less rounded. You squish it out or stretch it out or make it into a rough cube or any kind of thing you want. The point is to notice with each change whether it has any impact on your experience of the emotion. Color is a fascinating one. There are two things that can change around color, at least two. One is, what color is it? If it was black, what happens if you change it to, I don't know, a deep red or a bright yellow or a pale yellow? Now, color also happens. There's two ways in our world around us that we perceive color. One is from reflected light. Like if I pick up something like this mug, this is basically a white mug with black lettering. Now, the reason I perceive those colors is because light is reflecting off of this back into my eyes, and the light that's reflecting off comes to me as white. And similarly with the black markings on it. If that were a different kind of thing and it was glowing on the inside, then the light from the inside would be making it glow. As an example, there's a blue light on the webcam I'm working with now, and there's a small LED on the inside. It's either a blue LED or it's something with a blue filter in front of it, so that when that's turned on, this thing glows blue. So often a huge change can be achieved by creating a light inside and letting it shine out. There are powerful metaphors in many cultures about letting your light shine, hiding your candle under a basket, bring out your inner light. All of those things are powerful metaphors, and play with it. It may apply for this. Temperature. Easy things to do. Make it warmer, make it cooler, find out what happens. Now, motion can have all kinds of properties, and it's often useful to play with them. If there's no motion, find out what happens if you create a little. Now, motion can be in many forms. It can be random, chaotic motion, the kind that you'd see, say, in a pot that's just beginning to boil. Or if you watch little specks of dust in the air where sunlight is highlighting them, they kind of move at random. And chaotic motion can be gentle, fluffy motion. It can be rapid and jerky motion. It can be violent and chaotic. Motion can also be organized and coordinated. Some people have sensations where there's a circular movement, where something keeps revolving. It might be this way, it might be this way, it might be this way. It can be any kind of way. It could be a hum or a vibration, almost a sound. Now, there are interesting things that we can do with motion. For example, if the motion is random What happens if we make the motion organized so that it's consistent? It may be following a figure-8 path or a circular path. What happens if it's following a circular path in one direction and we reverse the direction? My experience with those is that if it's already a coherent motion that's moving along a particular path and you reverse it, that usually has a profound impact. Things like vibration. I've had people experience a sensation where one part of the sensation had one vibration, another part had a slightly different vibration, and they were dissonant. They didn't fit together. And when I suggested that the person harmonize them as if it were a musical chord, boom, that was night and day, huge change. So it's kind of like working with shape, where you make the shape that's, if it's got sharp edges, you make it more rounded. If the motion is chaotic or irregular, smoothing it out, making it flow smoothly is a similar kind of change, and it often has a profound impact if it's there. Okay, that's examples of how you might deal with individual parameters. Now it's time to wrap this up. Go through this, print out the worksheet and the instructions, go through it. If you get a little confused, which is not surprising if this is totally new to you, new things are almost always confusing, so don't let that get you down. Play with this as best you can. Watch some of the demos. There are a lot of demos here for that very reason.